Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Self-Awareness and Discovery Workshop. I'm Michelle, and I'm the Events Officer for the AC Hub, and today we are joined by Ashley Strike. So before we get started, we are going to share a couple of housekeeping items. So today's event is in a webinar format. So this means as an attendee, you can see and hear our panelists. However, we cannot see or hear you. So if you have a question, a technical related question, you can feel free to use the chat, and that's along the bottom of your screen. And feel free to continue to use this feature throughout the session if you'd like to connect with the college community. And during Ashley's interactive questions, you can feel free to submit your answer there. And then following Ashley's presentation, we're going to open it up for a Q&A session. So you can submit your question to Ashley by navigating to the bottom of your screen and just opening up the Q&A, and then you can type in your question there for Ashley. So that'll be about the last 15 minutes or so. This session is being recorded, and you can rewatch it on the AC Hub On Demand website later this week. That link is going to be shared in the chat. So now to kick off today's event, we are going to give everyone a question to answer, and you can answer the question just by typing in the chat. So again, along the bottom of your screen, just click the chat and you can write out your answer to this question. So before you press send, I also just want to ask that you can see there's a 2 and then there's a drop down that says panelists. If you change that to panelists and attendees, that way, when you type out your answer or if you want to connect to the college community, that way everyone can see it, not just the panelists. So don't press send yet, but the question, so don't send your answer yet, but the question is, do you consider yourself to be self-aware? So you can type out your answer, and then we're all going to press send at the same time. So again, the question is, do you consider yourself to be self-aware? So I'm going to count us down from 3, and then we're all going to send our answers at the same time. So in a second. So 3, 2, 1, go. Awesome. Perfect. Great. Thank you. Okay, so somewhat, not really, 50% of the time. Okay, and also just a reminder to switch the drop down for throughout the session, just so it's panelists and attendees. Looks like a few were just a panelists. Thank you so much for participating. Feel free to continue to use the chat throughout the session today. So now I would like to welcome Ashley Strike, who is a mental performance consultant in Ottawa. Her role is to teach individuals mental skills and techniques to maximize their performance and success on a more consistent basis. She specializes in self-awareness and guides individuals to understand the meaning behind their actions, thoughts, and behaviors. Over the last few years, Ashley has worked with universities and college varsity sports teams, athletes, musicians, therapists, and individuals striving to improve their education, career, and overall well-being. Now, Ashley, over to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad everybody could come and be here right now. I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Awesome. Okay, yeah, it was great to see everybody's answer to that if you're aware. So it seems like everybody's kind of in the middle, yes or no or somewhat. So, and that's why we're here, to work on skills you already have, or if we don't have any skills at the moment, it's to really develop them. Okay, so let's get into it. So the outline for the workshop, and just a reminder, sorry, make sure you have a piece of paper, pen, or pencil so you can write down. I did a lot of activities to be interactive, so I want you guys to be able to write it down and have notes from it, and be able to reflect on what we've been doing, okay? So we're gonna start, what are mental skills? Then we're gonna go to quick kind of self-analysis questions, self-awareness, and FAST+E, so we'll get into that. Balance wheel of life, self-awareness scenario activity. Then we're going to self-awareness techniques, a distraction control chart, kind of to wrap everything up, and then a review. Okay, so let's get into what are mental skills. So mental skills are tools for your mind to perform better in everything we do. We have 4 categories of mental skills, but they all are interactive and can be combined. So we have foundational skills that can be goal setting, confidence, motivation, focus, mindfulness, positive attitude, self talk. We have cognitive ones, so that's imagery, that's visualization, distraction control, competition planning, which that can even be performance planning too, self monitoring, time management. Then we have the psychosomatic. So that one is related to the mind and then also the body and how it interacts. So emotional control, relaxation, activation, stress, recovery from injuries. And we have team, and this can also be in a work environment or school. So we have team building, communication, leadership, decision making, and conflict resolution. All of these work together to be able to have a desired outcome. So we need to work on them. So ones that are really interactive, say, are focus and distraction control go really good together. Where you have the self-monitoring, that goes great with emotional control and stress management. So these are all skills that you can work on that can really help your overall performance and mental health. So just going into kind of so mental techniques and how they're different from mental skills. The only difference is these are kind of complementary and they enhance the mental skill you're working on. So we have positive self-talk, breathing techniques, thought transfer, and perspective training. So an example could be positive talk. That's great for improving confidence, distraction control, and stress management. While breathing training is really good for relaxation. When you're breathing really heavily, it increases airflow, it decreases your heart rate and blood pressure, and just kind of slows your mind down, allows you to relax and be able to think through situations. So this is kind of the overview of mental skills and techniques and how they're related and can help you in different situations. All right, so we're gonna kind of do like the first activity, so kind of a little self-analysis. So I'm gonna give you guys about 45 seconds just to kind of answer these questions. So out of 10, how has the past year been for you? What have been your strengths and weaknesses with online schooling and work? What has been the hardest part about online schooling? Mentally, so is that a lack of socializing, stuck at home, stuck with family? And what makes you feel better? Okay, so guys, I want you to kind of brainstorm for 45 seconds. And then if you like, let's go in the group chat and then see what everybody has to say about that, okay? Okay, at 30 seconds, so 15 more. All right, so would anybody like to share what they came up with? So maybe what's the hardest part about online school and work mentally? You want to put in the group chat so everybody can see. Endless screen time, lack of variety, not leaving the house, perfect. Seeing people, yeah. Maybe lack of connection with students, stuck at home, lack of motivation. You have strength, self-guided learning, weaknesses, procrastination, motivation. Commute is great, yeah. Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, so it seems a lot is a lack of socialization, motivation, procrastination. People are good with the self-learning, self-termination. Yeah, these are all really good. it's looking at that, and it's good to see because yeah, we're all not alone, right? A lot of us has been the self-motivation. I mean, you feel better going for a walk. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. So a lot of it, yeah, is trying to do things by ourselves now because we're at home and we don't have the same pressure from the outside sources. So I really want to do this one kind of just to start off our brainstorming process. It's a quick look into your self-awareness. What are your stressors in life, or what do you need to work on? How you cope with it. So I saw one person put they go for walks outside. Maybe it's you like to watch movie, TV, try and talk to your friend, but a lot of it is that socializing. So how can we get that aspect of connecting with others while we're at home right now? So, and what's also really important is that we do need to look at our strengths while we're looking at our weaknesses, because if we look at situations that we're really good at, we can use those strengths and then be able to develop a plan to help with our weaknesses. So I want you to keep that in mind as we go through, to think about what you're really good at and then how this can help with, say, that self-determination, being motivated to not procrastinate and to try and find happiness while unfortunately have to be at home right now. Okay. So yeah, we're not alone. Everybody has something going on and a lot of it is related. So just remember that you're not alone in this. If we struggle with one aspect of our life, it will usually leak into others. So if we're stressed with school, a lot of that can then kind of transfer into a relationship with their partner, our family, even friends. So it's trying to figure out how we can categorize this. And then, so before we look into how to deal with stress, we have to understand what causes you to stress, how you react in that situation, and what thoughts, actions, behaviors you do during negative and positive situations. So we have self-awareness. So this is a reflection of who you are as a person and inner self. It's understanding what is important to you in different areas of your life, so school, family, sports, friends, leisure, etc. Have to look at the fine details to really understand how you act, feel, and behave on a daily basis. And the ability to be present in the moment. So what I mean by this is either in a good situation or bad, but you kind of have a third eye in the back of your head looking over you. So say in a situation where I get stressed out and or like before an exam, like I get really freaked out. What is causing that? Like what's triggering this? What am I thinking? And to kind of be present in the moment to reflect on that later, or then to be like, oh, this happened, that's why. So trying to work on that to have that third eye in the moment. And then looking at characteristics of self-awareness. So we have the acronym of FAST+E. So I'm going to show you guys that now. All right. So we have feeling, action, sensation, thought, and environment. So our feelings, this is a multidimensional experience that involves physical, cognitive, emotional, social, and spiritual dimensions that mediate your capacity to perceive and be conscious of your inner self. So overall, that just means that feelings has this huge umbrella, and there's a lot of dimensions to it, and you just have to be able to recognize that, which can be hard because, as you see, there's many dimensions to it. So it's important that your depiction is meaningful and allows you to connect to how you want to feel in the different dimensions of your life. So do you want to feel confident? Do you want to be happy, in the zone, in control? Do you want to be at peace or connected? So understanding how you want to feel is really important to be able to direct your actions or behaviors towards that. So actions are, what are you doing in the moment? Sensations are what you sense physically. So this can be hot, cold, jittery, that floating feeling. So figuring out that part of your body. We have thoughts, so self-talk in your head. And then we have the environment. So what are your surroundings? So all of these kind of break down self-awareness into categories of your experience. So it becomes simpler, not as drastic to kind of plan out and figure out what you need to work on. Okay, so we're gonna do a second activity. So we're gonna do about like a minute. I'm gonna show you an example, but we're gonna do a balance wheel of life. So I want you to kind of find what are the important areas of your life? How much time and energy do you put into each area? Why are these areas important to you? And do you feel the way you want to engage in these different contexts? Okay, so we have an example here. So kind of just make a circle and then you can depict the percentage of each dimension of your life that you can put in. If you have colors, you can do that, or you can just fill it in with a pen, up to you. So example for you, work, family time, how much time you spend at the gym, sleep. You can add how much time do you put towards your nutrition, your eating, personal care, and social time. If you can think of any other dimension, go ahead and add that to your wheel. But I kind of want you to think overall, how much time do you spend towards each region of your life? Okay, so I'm gonna give you a minute to kind of make your wheel and depict the balance you have right now. Okay? So go ahead and do that, and then we will have a little discussion after. About 30 seconds left. Okay. So I'd love to see your wheels, but we can't do that right now, and that's completely fine. So what did you find out about your schedule? So if anybody want to share, is there a part of it that you were really surprised about, that you didn't think took a large portion of it, or something that was really small? If you want to put in the chat, you're more than welcome. I see some already. Family time. Schoolwork takes the majority of your time. Yeah. Did anybody see a lack of something? So personal time, sleep, anything like that? Hobby, small fraction. Self-care is always an afterthought. Personal family time lacking. Physical time and socializing, for sure lack of sleep and self-care. Lacking in the gym. Yeah, happen right now. School overwhelming. Yeah. No, these are really good. So, and that's part of it too, right? Now that we're stuck inside as much, it's almost harder now to balance more, because usually we go out to school and we could go to the gym or we could see our friends there, or you go to work and you're able to travel more. So the benefit of that was you could almost plan your day out better because you had to be at different locations, but now we're always at home. So then it's hard to turn off the laptop or to stop doing schoolwork or to try and even go outside. That self-care, that's really important. And having work and schoolwork is the biggest ones. It seemed that we're taking over control. And yes, in a perfect world, we'd like to have fun, socialize, and family time, to have a bigger part of the wheel, but that's not realistic. We have to try and figure out a way, though, to have balance between the areas of life that give us high stress and anxiety, which ones that give us peace, calm, or well-being. So that sleep and self-care is just as important to have, because it will give you happiness throughout. Because if you only have the stressful situations, you're going to lead to burnout. So we need to be able to figure out a way to have that and be able to move forward and have a better mindset and healthy well-being. Also important to note that everybody's wheel is a little bit different. So some people, family could be a stressor for them, especially now that you're at home. And that's okay. Or work could be really good because you actually get to get out of the house if you are able to. So just being conscious of that and knowing that they can change. When you get a new job or when it's exams too, like they can change daily, but you need to make sure that overall you're able to have a balance that gives you time for yourself, to have fun, but then also hard work, because then you're better able to compartmentalize that stress with having then good times and not worrying about school. All right. So you must understand your FAST+E in each area and realize how to make a change and have a more balanced lifestyle. So to do this now, we are going to do another scenario. So it's kind of a self-awareness one where we're going to now take that FAST, so our feelings, our actions, sensations, thoughts, and environment, and we're going to figure out how we can help that stress situation. Okay, so first you're going to pick a scenario. So think of an area in your life you have the most trouble with. So focus, distraction control, motivation, stress, anything. So it could be example, early morning class, studying, work, presentations, visiting your family, personal to your experience. Then I'm going to read questions out to you. So the goal of this activity is for you to clear your mind and try and visualize the situation, become more aware of your actions and behaviors in the moment. Okay, this will be able for you to pinpoint little details that affect your behaviors and why you're stressed and why that's happening to you. Okay, so an example of this, because sometimes we're not available, we can't see it, or we don't know, we can't remember fine details. So if I asked you, the example of I panic 5 minutes before an exam and I blank on everything. If I asked you, okay, what do you say to yourself? Like, what are the exact words? Some people can't remember the exact words they say to themselves. Or I say, what triggered it? Were you sitting down? Was it when you walked into the room? Was it 2 minutes before? People can't answer that. Or how did your body react? Were you sweaty? Were you clammy? Do you have butterflies? So it's being able to figure out those fine details. Okay. So before we start the questions, we're going to take 3 deep breaths. And then as you go through, you don't have to read the questions. I'm going to read them to you. So don't worry about that. And then you're going to try and answer them compared to what your scenario is. So I'm just going to use the scenario of it's hard for me to focus during class. My early morning class, I hate it. Okay. So that's going to be my situation. So some of the questions are going to be more related to class, but if yours is work, just try and relate to it. And if you kind of get distracted, just come back and then follow the question as much as you can. You don't have to answer all the questions, but kind of be self-aware of what questions stand out to you, like you really relate to, and ones you hadn't thought about before. Okay? Give you guys a few seconds just to get the paper and pen if you don't have it. And okay, so we're going to take 3 deep breaths. Just try and clear our mind and close your eyes for this. So deep breath in and out. Deep breath in, out, and a deep breath in and out. Okay, so what day of the week is it? When does the situation happen the most? What time of day is it? Is it night, evening, afternoon? What did you do before class? Did you get up, or have you been studying right before class? Were you watching TV or just went to the gym? Were you in a stressful situation and rushed to class, or were you well prepared and relaxed? Where are you sitting? Are you in the living room, bedroom, office space, or coffee shop? What is your environment like? Is it clean, loud? Is it quiet? Messy? Is your music playing? Is it loud or soft? Is it pop or R&B? What type of music? Are there other people around you, or are you alone? Is your room dark or is it light? What sounds distract you or catch your attention? What do you smell? Is there food cooking? Are you outside? Can you smell the fresh grass? Or right now, fresh snow? Did you eat before class? Are you hungry or super full? How much sleep did you get the night before? How did you feel going to the class or studying? Are you happy, excited, stressed, or bored? How do you want to feel before class? What happened to make you feel this way? Did someone or something make you feel this way? When you are distracted, what thoughts are running through your head? Are you daydreaming? Are there random thoughts? Are you distracted by your phone? What thoughts do you immediately think to yourself when you realize you're distracted? Are they positive or negative thoughts? Can you regain focus? If so, how long does it take for it to happen again? How many times has it happened? Okay. So, what do we think about that? From this exercise, what did you feel distracts you the most in your situation? Your feelings, thoughts, actions, and environment? Or what factors affected you didn't realize before? How much sleep I got the night before? Really good. Yeah. Stress when arguments appear in your head for no reason. That's related to self-talk. So time of day, usually the same time every day. Yeah, messy workspace with bad lighting. Always gonna hate that time. Makes me feel bad for having a messy room. My mind races with lists and tasks you're working on. Yeah, so kind of a catalyst environment. Yep, the environment too, distractions in the house. No, these are all really good. It's kind of relating to environment, so kind of what's around us. And that can affect us, and if we have control or not of it. And then also, yeah, our thoughts can be a huge part of it, kind of that self-talk in your head, what you're saying to yourself in that situation, and how can you stop that from happening, or how can you change that self-talk. So from this, how can we change these feelings, actions, sensations, or your environment that affect you in school or work negatively? So from that, I want you to write down 3 areas that you need to improve. So that can kind of be your self-talk, it can be that environment, it can be the racing in your head. Let's give you about a few seconds. You gotta write down, try and write down 3, but at least 1 if you can. All right. So from here, now we're gonna kind of work on our distraction control plan and self-awareness strategies. So doing this we're going to be able to organize our new self-awareness about our work-ons and how to be more present in the moment to correct that behavior. So how to recognize the beginning effects of the stressful situation that you usually deal with. So I put it into, So I put it into a pre, present, and post distraction control plan for yourself to be able to have these strategies that can help you be more self-aware about what's going on. Okay, so what are some ways you can prevent these negative behaviors, thoughts, or stressors from happening? So you can manipulate your environment. So you can have separate areas for schoolwork and relaxing. So if you think of it, a lot of us, your desk is in your bedroom, and then so you're studying, doing exams, classes, everything's in there. But usually when you go to bed, that's when you want to relax and be calm. But subconsciously, you've kind of made this environment now where your room is associated with stress. It's associated with anxiety and school. And sometimes that's not good for when we want to have that calm, relaxing environment. So if possible, it could be good to do your work in the living room, the kitchen, somewhere else, or to be able to switch it up. So sometimes your bedroom, sometimes in the living room, depending if you have roommates or not, and that could be a distraction, but trying to figure out ways to minimize the subconscious feeling of this being an area where it can be stressful. And then getting ready like you would an in-person class or work. So the only benefit of COVID has been that we don't have to go to school, and we've minimized travel time, probably if you feel like not getting up an hour before, which is really nice. But if you get up for class 5 or 10 minutes before, you're still really groggy, you're not awake, and this can affect how focused you are. So to help with that, getting up half an hour before, a cup of coffee, get dressed, it gets you in the environment and like in the mindset that, okay, now it's school time, I'm here, I'm learning, and then I can relax after. So that can really help with just managing your environment. Also, like from the example, like if it's messy, it's that one day you're cleaning it up, and then that can help you. You have a clean environment, it can have you have a cleaner mind and an open mind. So that can be something you can control. And then you can manipulate your behaviors. So create a schedule including study time and personal time. You don't have to become, if you're not a person who likes agendas or having everything planned day by day, but it is really important when you do have assignments coming up, exams, planning it out and seeing in front of you, and then realizing what you can do each day. And then in that, finding out what time you can have to yourself, or have time, to call someone or see someone outside, walk in that social distancing. Doing that can really help find that personal time for yourself while still being busy and having schoolwork and doing everything, but it can make you see I actually have a lot more time than I think. Finding balance with using technology. It's not possible to truly disconnect anymore. Like we said, we're on Zoom right now. We're on Zoom for work, school. So trying to find time with your hobbies or time off to not be on the TV or playing video games or on your phone. I know it's hard, but it can be a few minutes, maybe just going outside, doing something else that isn't related to it. But you know yourself better than me. So if you love video games, then play video games, but it's still really good to try and like go for a walk and then just detach from everything. Maybe also not listen to the news as much. That can help too, because just hearing everything about COVID, it can get a lot daunting on yourself. And then also using tech to help with stress levels. So there's one app is like Insight Timer. It's free, but that could help with if you want to start meditating or figuring out relaxation techniques. It's really good for that. If you have problems sleeping, they can have a sleep timer to kind of play music to help you fall asleep. Anybody has any apps, you can definitely put them in the group chat so you give people more ideas what they can do. But it can be helpful, but it's just trying to find that balance between the both. Then we have present distraction control. So when it's happening in the moment, what can you do? So you can create thought transferring keywords or actions that can get you back on track. So keywords can be, you want to kind of be like 1 to 3 words, but kind of these words that snap you out of it. So if you're really stressed, it can be stop, calm down, you got this. Things that can get you back on track right away. Actions is changing your focus from internal to external of your body. So say you're having trouble with breathing, or like you're really anxious, doing those deep breaths, counting with your fingers, uh, deep belly breathing techniques, that can help too, just to kind of regroup your body and reset. You can also do different hand placements. So if you find you're really hot, or just something else, you can touch your hands to the floor, changing that focus to the floor is cold, I'm touching the floor, everything's good. Even touching like your face, feeling the different temperatures in your hand to your forehead, and the compression can really help just take you outside of your mind. It's really good for those who can have negative self-talk and working on trying to stop that snowball from happening, changing that language and moving forward. You can also have visual gestures. So that can be like a stop sign, hand up, a brick wall. So imagine physical gestures that can stop your thoughts and feelings and replace them with better keywords. So both of these can be used together. So having that brick wall come up, think, stop, you got this, refocus, and then get back to what you're doing so it stops that snowball effect. And then we have post-distraction control plan. This is kind of the afterwards. What do you do? How can you reflect on it? So what did you do well? What did you do well today? So a good way I like to do is like record your roses and thorns for the day. I don't know if any of you heard of that, but so one of the things that didn't go well, reflecting on them, and then be, okay, well, how can I improve this? How could it be different? And what would I do next time? So kind of thinking it out and then trying to create a plan instead of just saying, this sucks, my day was awful. And then thinking of your roses, like what went well? I know some days it seems like everything's going wrong and nothing's going right. And in those days, you just need to find one rose, even if it's, I had a really good sandwich for lunch today, and that's the only thing, but it's one thing that went well. And it actually helps a lot. Kind of in the end, just be like, you know what, something went well, and tomorrow will be better. So kind of thinking of that. In the morning, saying what you're grateful for. And if it's a person, then call or text them and share that with them, like if you're ready to do that. Kind of having, if someone reaches out to you being like, thinking of you, how are you doing, hope you're okay, you can make their day better too. And it can start that reconnection with someone else and kind of that socializing. And then it can create this positive effect through your friend group or community of people reaching out to each other. And it doesn't mean that you have to hang out. Like sometimes you don't, it can be daunting to hang out with people, but I know we want that now, but social distancing is hard. But it honestly, it feels really good for everybody. And to tell them that you're grateful for them can make change their day. So now we're going to go into like the last activity. So for this one, so it's a distraction control chart. So we're going to take everything we talked about. So those 3 examples from the scenario one that you want to improve on, that's your distraction. And then in this chart, you put the usual response that you do. The next one is preferred response, so how you'd want to act. And then a strategy to get that preferred response. So that's kind of that pre, present, and post distraction control plan that we just talked about. Within this, again, you want to try and figure out, okay, what's my FAST+E? So my feelings, actions, sensations, thoughts, and environment that affect my distraction. So an example of this would be, I have 2. So one's pretty simple and then one's a little bit more detailed, which hopefully with practice, you guys will get there. So the first one, distraction, would be my phone during class. Usual response, I look at it, I'm not paying attention in class, and then I don't know what's going on. My preferred response would be that I don't look at my phone and I focus. So the strategy to get preferred response would be not have my phone in the room, potentially give it to a roommate so I can't go get it, or then have strategies to stop yourself from going to get your phone in class. Another example could be I panic before exams. So my usual response is I get butterflies, my hands start shaking, I doubt all the studying I did, and I don't think I'm prepared enough. I didn't study that one thing, and so I'm going to fail. Those are the thoughts I say in my head. My preferred response I would like is I want to be confident. I want to be calm going to the exam and feel prepared. and knowing that I did all the work I did. So some strategies to get me there would be, I'm going to practice my calm breathing before, so it helps me relax, get my nerves out. I'm going to think to myself, you've prepared as much as you can and you can't change that. It's what you've controlled, and you can control yourself going into it. And then during, if I start having a little episodes of panic that I don't know a question, I'm going to do my 2 deep breaths, think to myself, you got this, you're prepared. So in that, I have my cue words. In that, I have how I want to feel, how I want to change my sensory, and then I have techniques to get me there. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys just a minute, write down one, and then if you have questions about it, we can ask that in the Q&A as well. If anything, just write down this chart, because it's really good for you guys to have, and just so in any situation, it's a good way just to break down how to change something that's giving you stress. Okay, so I'll give you guys about a minute, and then we can talk about it later if you have questions about that. Okay. So yeah, hopefully you got at least one down, but kind of your homework then for even after this is think of those 3 that you had and to finish the chart and see if you can work on that. Kind of a summary of self-awareness. So we want to comprehend how you think, feel, and behave, and key to understanding how you interact with others and your surroundings. This is the first step to know what your mental skills, strengths, and weaknesses are, and how you can manage your stress and anxiety. Use your balance wheel to identify areas of your life that may be off balance. And self-reflection and techniques discussed are tools that you can use to change your daily habits and improve well-being and mindfulness. With anything you do, things take time, patience, and practice. It's not going to happen all at once sometimes, but you have to keep trying to put in these these strategies, see what's going on, what makes you stress, and then how you can fix it. And some things might not work. Like you might try, say, that breathing technique I talk about because I use it all the time. I love it. But other people might not work for them at all. Or using like meditation apps, people probably might not work for them. But you have to keep trial and error and see what works for you, because everybody's individual. And then trying to have that self-reflection, always try and be present. Working on that third eye to see what's going on and see in the moment. That's all I have for you guys today. So thanks so much. If you have any questions, we're going to do that. But then I also have my email, the website, and we're on Instagram as well. So to look for more things on tools to help with your mental skills, we have it there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley. That was great. And I think Leanne's just going to add your website and Instagram into the chat as well. So just for anyone who wants to just quickly link over to that. But that was awesome. There was a couple of questions that came in, and I just actually had a quick question about the distraction plan. So you mentioned like having something maybe visual, like a brick wall. So does that mean like actually just pulling up a photo of a brick wall maybe, or just like looking at a brick wall, and that's like whenever you start to feel those emotions, like you're just physically going to go look at that space and that's your cue?
It could be a visual, something you see physically, but it almost want to like visualize it, because a lot of these things happen in the moment. So it's kind of like creating that image in your head.
Okay.
So a brick wall or that stop sign, and thinking maybe it like flashes in front of your eyes kind of thing.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. Thank you.
No problem.
If anyone has any questions, you can just feel free to submit them in the Q&A. So there is one question here, and I know you touched on this after I think they submitted it, but it's just how do you avoid negative thoughts with so many distractions happening right now? So how do you not feel overwhelmed by those thoughts?
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice. So especially those negative thoughts coming in, it's like what those thoughts are, and then we're trying to replace them with positive ones. So it's like, oh, you can't do this. It's kind of having that cue, that either visual, the stop sign, and be like, okay, no, take a deep breath. You got this. You've planned for all of this. And it takes a lot of self reflection to do this, but it's trying to figure out how to replace those negative thoughts with positive ones. And depends what it's rooted out of. You know, this could be a self confidence issue. It could just be a focusing issue. It could be a self worth, depending what it is. Depends how deep those thoughts go.
Okay, great. And you played on the varsity, was it rugby team? Was
It
that
was, yeah.
yeah? Okay. And can you maybe speak to one of your like techniques that you specifically used before like maybe going into a game or
Yeah,
something
sure.
that worked for you?
Um, yeah, I guess something I didn't talk about, but it's good too. I can say it now. So I sometimes was I got really nervous before games, and self talk too. Negative thoughts was a huge thing for me, kind of my third year. So I really wanted to work on that because it affected my performance a lot on the field, and so I worked on having those keywords to kind of say in the moment, letting go of stuff too. So kind of that um, the action, so putting an exterior to you. So some of those things too, I would think of the negative thoughts I'm feeling. So this could be a technique too. So negative thoughts I'm feeling. So I like kind of put in my chest and then I wipe it away. So I'm thinking everything bad and I'm going to take it out and it's not going to be part of me anymore. And I'm just going to leave positive. So either I'd wipe it on the ground. Some people would kick it through the ball. You could like next time you pass it, anyone here, you can like think of negative thoughts, write them down, crumple the paper and throw it away. That can be really good things too, to try and get all those negative thoughts out, say them, and then be like, okay, you're done, brain. They're out. Now it's only positive and we're starting fresh. That can be a way as well. And this would be good for exams. So then sometimes I even give myself a little speech. So I write on a card and then kind of my pregame little speech to myself, and I'd say it, and it really boosted my confidence and then kept my mind calm. So that helped. And music was a huge part of it for me too. So depending on who you are, um, especially this could be used for studying. So for studying, I can't listen to words. It has to be like something very calm. But even going to the game, yeah, I had to have calm music because if it was too stimulating, I'd get like too pumped up. So figuring out what works for you. So if you need like hard rock or you like rap, or if you need more something with a slow beat, knowing what your body needs related to your emotional response to that song and how your body will respond to it. Yeah.
Awesome. I think that's super neat. Yeah, like if you're kicking a ball or something, or like an actual physical, like crumpling up a piece of paper. Um, yeah, like writing any negative thoughts down there. That's a very good tip. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any more questions in the Q&A. Oh, sorry, there's one that just came in. How can you avoid past experience influence? How can you avoid past experiences influence present moment, like an interview?
Yeah. So if you had potentially like a bad experience in an interview, it's that self reflection after. It's like, okay, so what could have I improved on? So trying to figure those out. Was I really nervous before? Um, did I just bomb the interview? Was I late? So kind of relating to how you were feeling going into it, the environment, what it was, and factors you can control. It's important to think of things, yeah, what can I control and what's out of my control. So the person just didn't like me or didn't think I was qualified for it, and there's nothing I can do about that. All I can do is know my strengths and then bring that forward into the interview. And then if I'm chosen, I'm chosen. If not, then maybe it wasn't the right opportunity for me. But it's trying to learn from that experience and move forward. And then going into the next interview, yeah, how do you stop those flashbacks from popping up? So to stop that, it's kind of preparing beforehand. It's like, I'm probably going to start thinking about this, and then going in and I'm going to think, you failed last time, you're going to do it again. So it's trying to recognize that you will probably think that way and then figure out ways and strategies to stop that from happening. So how can you be more confident going into it? And then if it pops up, either having that stop sign, be like, nope, I'm ready for this. I'm going to kill it. That's all that's happening. And then maybe that throwing away of the energy or touching something else, but trying to get your focus out really in sorry, try and get the focus not so centered on that thought and trying to change it outwards. I hope that answered your question.
Very good. And yeah, I really did like that post distraction plan. So like thinking of the roses too, like before you go to bed or something, like highlight, yeah, one positive thing that happened that day. Or very good. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
don't see any questions. So I think we'll just wrap it up. But your Instagram is in the chat and email. So or your website. Sorry. So I think if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out to Ashley directly. Thank you to all of our attendees for joining us, and thank you, Ashley, for joining us as well and leading this workshop. So this event was recorded, and the recording will be added to the AC Hub on demand website, and a link will be shared in the chat now. And if anyone's interested, we have a full database with all of the event recordings, so you can check out some of our previous events. And then you can also check out some of our upcoming virtual events by going to the Algonquin College Student Support Services events calendar. So a link with all of our upcoming virtual events will be added to the chat as well. And please feel free to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. So all of those links will be shared in the chat. So thank you, everyone, and we hope to connect with you at future Algonquin College events. Bye-bye.